Welcome to The Least We Could Do, coming live from all around Austin, and some of us think South Dallas and Pflugerville. Your hosts, Jimmy and Dwayne.
Hello.
Hello,
It's
James.
the least we could do. Welcome, everybody. It is September 19th. Hold on.
Yes.
Hey, I'm going to move me.
You're right. It is
over
September
here.
19th.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I like us looking at each other. Look at
Hi,
that.
buddy.
Using the technology.
Hi.
September 19th, coming to you from Austin, Texas. It's the least we could do. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hello, Robin. She's already here. You're the first one. And we
not in the
are
comment
so
section. I am sorry.
thankful for you already.
Yes.
I am Jimmy Preston, probably the most important member of the show, but I share the stage with my main man, Dwayne Primo. How are you today, my friend?
I'm well, sir. I'm well. How are you, my friend? As well?
I'm all right. I'm kind of out of sorts because I'm not in my normal environment. I am in the studio today, my studio apartment, and but I've been house sitting, remember, for Murder Dog. So it's been interesting, and I'm just not feeling normal. It's just different when you're different, doing different things.
You're still calling him Murder Dog, huh?
Dude, I've got this dog under my thumb. He thinks.
I heard.
He thinks
I feel like
that
you're torturing this poor dog.
No. I'm a kind and gentle handler, and we had a meeting of the minds. He learned early that if he wanted to do certain things, it was going to come with certain tasks that needed to be performed beforehand. And I think he's appreciating the structure. He's appreciating the
I think he's planning your death.
Well, it's quite possible. He does spend a lot of time just looking at me and growling under his breath. It's quite terrifying.
I noticed that he may have chewed through like 2 or 3 branches on that shrubbery already.
You know what? And that's where I failed. Do we have the video, Kyle? Later, if you can surprise me, I think I texted it to you guys or something. Man, what a terrible thing I'm asking you to do. But if we could get that video of, oh no, it's on my Instagram or what have you. I think I posted it there. Or did I put it on
Instagram?
I put it on the show Instagram. So that's a good opportunity. If you pull up the Instagram for a page, we can talk to people about that. And then who am I talking to, people? I'm talking to Kyle, our producer. Bring Kyle on here. Where's that?
Oh yeah. Where's he?
What's up? There he is. Man behind the scenes.
There he is.
Who's pushing these buttons?
There he is. I'm pushing the buttons. Are you pushing the button? Who's pushing the
buttons?
There
I don't know who's pushing the buttons.
There he is.
It's not me.
Hold on. This is what we want. That's what we want. You guys over there behind me. How's everything in the back, kids? How's everything? Okay.
It's going.
Thanks, Kyle, for putting the show together and for getting us confirmed on our second guest of the night. We're going to have Jeanette Greger talking to us about Saves Austin.
And Kyle's got us streaming on Twitch tonight as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Good job, man. You get a bonus this week.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Up from last week?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what I was talking about also with Robin saying hi and Kenny's chiming in now. Good to see you, Kenny, from the Great White North. Robin, we got a big surprise next week. She brought us a big sponsor, and that will be unveiled next week. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it under wraps till next week.
So,
happy Batman Day, by the way, Jimmy. I didn't know if you noticed my Starry Nights Batman shirt.
Well, y'all fantasy folks have not planned well because I understand it's Batman Day and it's also Talk Like a Pirate Day. So,
yeah,
this is just confusing. Which way do I go on this? You can't talk pirate while you're wearing a Batman suit.
You can. You probably could. I'm sure there's a run of Batman somewhere where like he died and had to fight his way back through the centuries to get back to his own timeline. And at one point, he was a bat pirate. He was like a bat caveman and a bat pirate and like a bat musketeer.
Yeah.
And a bat knight, I'm sure.
Yeah. This is all possible, plausible.
So I'm pretty sure there was a storyline that it was exactly that.
Oh, here's Murder Dog. Okay.
There he is. Old black-mouthed cur there. Real throaty, that guy.
You see those other branches that once were?
Yeah.
Those are his past anger sticks.
Does he have a flat tail and build dams? What the fuck with this dog?
But it's like just so funny. And I trained dogs for many, many years, and it's all a communication thing with dogs. And I've done this multiple times where I've babysat somebody's dog, or dog sat their dog while they're out of town, and they give me the laundry list of stuff that I need to watch out for. This dog has so many behavioral issues, and then the dog is absolutely fine while I'm there.
I've got horror stories about dog sitting and not paying attention, like being high when the dog got dropped off and not paying attention to the instructions that were given to you, and then ending up with shit all over your shirt.
Yeah. Well, why on your shirt?
I didn't know that the dog's I wasn't listening. I didn't realize that the wet wipes in the bag that they dropped off with the dog were because his fucking pincher on his ass didn't work.
So yeah, what you failed to hear. You heard
sat on the couch,
feed him in the morning
to watch cartoons. Oh, I'll tell you, feed him in the morning. So she says, give him crack an egg, give him an egg with his food.
Right.
So my wife, being the dog lover that she is, she scrambles an egg for the dog every morning and throws it in his food. So when they get back, they come to pick up their dog, and this fucking dog won't leave the kitchen in the mornings. Like, he'll sit there and watch him cook breakfast. And she's like, what the fuck did they do to my dog? So she calls, and she's like, what is going on? And I was like, well, Julie scrambled an egg for him every morning. She was like, what the fuck? She was like, I meant crack an egg, put it in his food like once a week, maybe mix it in. No,
for his coat.
She was in this dog like a 3-course breakfast every morning.
Okay. Well, look,
but I didn't know I had to wipe.
You need to listen to instructions a little better here, Dwayne. And then, hopefully
smoke so much pot.
Hopefully you're going to listen up good to the guests that we have coming up in about 20 minutes. We're going to have Dr. Roy Casagranda, professor of government at ACC. He's going to be joining us. It's the least you could do to stick around and listen. I reached out to one of my old professors. I was trying to think of what my position was called. I want to say like teacher assistant or something like that. But I was like an aide to Professor Sego at ACC with some of his government classes. I got a couple extra credits out of it. I think it
relieved some of that extra stress that he had as a professor.
It was a paying position. And then one of the greatest things is I ran the study hall.
Paying position?
Yeah. And then
paying position?
It was a paid position. I had a employee
under the table, or did they take taxes out?
They took taxes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all in the up and up. It was a check from ACC. But look, it's not about the money. It's about, because listen, Dwayne,
it's about the hand job you had to give the professor.
I believe that children are the future. We should teach them well and let them lead the way.
Let them lead the way, right? Yeah.
Show them all the beauty that they possess inside. You know what I mean?
I do. I do know what you mean.
I would run these study halls for him, and I, in this time, like, we all know what happened. Like, poor Nathan. We had Nathan Calhoun on a couple weeks ago with We Are the Asteroid. I'm not saying, he wouldn't want me to say poor Nathan, but he released their new video. Their video was being released at 7 p.m. Friday night, and then Bombshell. What I mean, she passed like at 6:30 or something, maybe 5 o'clock, but the news started rolling out right about then. And because I remember I was like counting down. I was gonna go take care of Murder Dog, but I was like, you know what? I got really good Wi-Fi here in my place. I'm gonna stick around till 7, and then I'll head over to go feed them. So I remember having that thought. That was the only thought in my head. And then somebody texted me and said RGB died, and I was like, oh man, that is the notorious RBG.
Here. Drinking word of the day.
Notorious.
Yeah, it was like a punch in the gut, man.
And everything was off the table at that point. I had a couple funny things that we were going to do. We were going to talk to that guy that wrote us a letter about his, he loves dolphins. We are going to do that dolphin thing and have Diane help us with that. We're going to do that next week. But we just kind of scrubbed the board.
Wait, a
and
guy
said,
wrote us a letter?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you about that. So we need to get some grounding, because when something like this that's tragic happens, and I'm gonna probably I hope we've got both sides of the aisle listening to us. I hope we have Republicans. I hope we have Democrats, because the idea is we're supposed to be talking about funny stuff, and this is supposed to be a distraction. But so anyway, that's why I reached out to Dr. Sego, and he got us in touch with Dr. Roy Casagrande, and it turns out that he is quite an interesting fellow, right? So we're going to talk to him about what's next with RGB not being here, and from a government point of view, like not political, and how do we not make it political?
Yeah.
Dwayne?
I have a feeling that this evening might get a little bit political. I just have a sneaking suspicion that this evening could very well be a little bit political.
That's not the intent. And then so look, this is my revelation, like everyone, if you keep your eyes opened and like you're open to the vibrations in the universe, it can tell you things, and over the last couple days I've been super stressed, and it was because I made a decision to buy something that I thought I needed. Okay.
Something that's going to change your life.
I don't know if you've ever done this, but every once in a while in my life, I say to myself, if I could have this one thing, then everything's going to be perfect. Like everything will be perfect. And I've lived in the apartment that I'm in. I've been here for a couple years. I love it. It's tiny. I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. I don't have a dog. It's enough space, but it would be great if there was a little bit more space. So
I have a wall-mounted TV.
Well, this is that wall mount. I realized why I mounted the TV on the wall is so that I could get my record player. Right now, I've got my record player on the ground and a cable running across the room, so I can play a record that is a record player that is sitting on the floor. It is depressing. I mean, just
tell us more about this item, this big purchase that is going to make such a drastic difference. You said this with such conviction that I want to hear more about your new thing.
Yeah. So now listen, I said years ago, you know what? This place, it's tiny. It's a little cramped. It's sitting anywhere in this place, you can see the toilet and the stove and the kitchen, and your bed, and your desk, but it's cool. It's like tiny house living, and as long as you don't fill it up with a million freaking items that you sell on eBay, then you'll be fine. So, but I said, if I could get this Murphy bed, if I could just get a Murphy bed, that's what I need, a Murphy bed, something that will. Do we have pictures of the damn Murphy bed that we can show? I I thought this was going to solve all my problems. Okay.
You were
And
very
I have been looking for the Murphy bed for years. And they're expensive. They're like $2,000, $4,000 for the really nice ones. And then like if you want to build your own, you can find a kit for like 150, $200. But then you got to like bolt it into the wall. We know that I'm not good with that. And then you've got to build I mean, it just comes with the spring apparatus that you still have to build the frame, and there's welding involved. And I'm like, I don't know how to weld. So then this item came up on Craigslist, and it is like a 1940 Murphy bed that doesn't need to be bolted in the wall. It has it has like a 90-pound counterweight on it, that helps you with the movement of the thing. But I didn't know about that at first. So the stress that I put myself under was, I didn't want to bother anybody to get this thing. And so I rented a truck. I did bother one person. I bothered Tony. I had Tony come and help me. He met me there. He had like a limited window of opportunity. And what sucked was I originally thought we were going to meet at 12, but he was going to meet at 2. And then I had to have the truck back at 4, but it was going to be $100 for just the frame. But if I took the mattresses from the lady, it was going to be 75. So I was like paying for half of the thing. So there it is. There it is. And my biggest fear was that it wasn't going to fit in the damn door. There it is, all up in the air. Back to the other one, back down, back up, back up, back down.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
So, I'm saying to myself, as I'm going to get this thing, I'm like, I have been telling myself for years that this bed is it. This is the key to all of my happiness. Everything hinges on this, literally and figuratively, with this Murphy bed. So now I have it. And I went through the stress, like I was giving myself mangina and everything yesterday, just worried because this thing was so freaking heavy, so heavy. And I picked the right guy to help me with it, Tony, and got it in. And luckily the wheels rolled and we were able to get it fit right through the door. Oh my gosh, all my fears washed away. Now there are tape measures to prevent this type of stuff, but I didn't have time for measurements. So I get it. I get this Murphy bed. I get it in place. I put my mattress on it, and then I'm just so elated. I've done it. It's like this is my mountaintop. I have finally accomplished everything that I strived to accomplish for myself in the last 3 or 4 years, right? Lofty goals. But now, and it's important with a small space, it needs to be utilitarian. I've got this area. This is my desk area and all my shit that's strewn about. And then over there is my lounge area, and then there's the bed area, which can also be pushed up out of the way to now reveal a workout zone, Kyle. I'm going to be able to work it out on the regs.
That's fantastic. And
Do you
by the
work out, Kyle?
I do yoga occasionally in my room, and I'm doing push-ups right now every day for veterans, and so that's fun. But no, that's great. And how many times have you worked out since you got this Murphy bed?
Just got the bed yesterday, Kyle. Let's take it baby step. And I'm also house sitting Murder Dog. Okay, so
All right, I'll give you a break.
give me a break. What happened to Dwayne, by the way? I saw
his computer crashed. So
chihuahuas.
he'll be back eventually.
All right. Well, look, if you're tuning in for the first time, thanks for being here. Make sure you join us on the chat. If you chat on Facebook or if you chat on YouTube, we can see you. So, and let's see, Austin tuned in. Got you on, but we're listening to some new records. Looks like he went out and bought some stuff. Listening to
awesome
Alice Cooper's first album, "Pretty's for You." All right,
badass.
You big Alice Cooper fan?
I remember going to Six Flags in Houston when it was there before it became a parking lot, and I remember it was like an Alice Cooper themed Six Flags visit for Halloween. Right. That was pretty cool. I think he was even there one night for some reason or another, which was pretty cool. Welcome back, Dwayne.
There you are, bud.
Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys.
So what? I don't know. You missed everything, but the bottom line is, I thought that this Murphy bed, and it did. It brought me joy for. Let me tell you, and you told me, Kyle, this is your fault because when we were on Marco Polo earlier in the day, I think, as I was waiting to pick up the rental car, or maybe it was the day before, the rental truck, you were like, by the way, no Murphy bed's going to bring you joy. And I was
no. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to, yeah.
You
all right.
Selfish son of a bitch. And then
Robin's sending us videos. Robin, we're not going to watch your videos in the middle of a show.
and then what happens? What happens after I get this Murphy bed? The whole world turns on its heels. Since COVID descended upon us, and we initially were told everything was going to be okay and it was going to disappear, now we're all locked in our houses in this dystopian society that we're now forming before our eyes. We said to ourselves, everything is shit, but as long as RGB, Notorious RGB, makes it to January 21st, then we're gonna be okay. And then she passes, and I'm thinking this is the goddamn Murphy bed's fault.
It's not the Murphy bed's fault. Hey, Dr. Roy is here, by the way.
Oh, Dr. Roy. Dr. Roy is a lecturer, an author, a professor, and a historian. I think all three of us spent the afternoon watching a couple of his different lectures that he's done in the past. He's at Austin Community College, ACC, the Bats. I myself, graduate of ACC with an associate's degree and 2 professional certificates. I mean, let's take the time to toot our own horns when we have it. You know, that's why we put this show together, right, Dwayne? So, without further ado, Dr. Roy. Let's get Dr. Roy on the show. Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. Hello.
He's coming in.
Dr. Casagrande, how are you, sir? Can you hear me? Uh-oh. We're missing his audio. Is he muted? There he is.
Hi. Is that better?
That is better. How are you, sir?
I am good.
So what were you saying, Dwayne? He looks like a folk hero? Dr. Casagrande?
Yeah, he kind of looks like Waylon Jennings.
Awesome.
I'm sorry if that offends you.
No. I
feel
think
like
this is a great interview. Like thanks for having me on the show. I'll see you guys later.
Get out while the getting's good, right?
I mean, I think I just won.
Indeed, you did. Listen, thank you for joining us. You came highly recommended from my old boss, Dr. Sego, and you guys, you teach at the same campus or what? I'm sure you all have shared a beer.
Yeah, we definitely share a beer from time to time. He actually teaches at a different campus, but it's the same. We're in the same department, so it's all right. I can like him.
The fine institution. Are you down at the new one, the new building? What is it at the mall?
He's actually at Highland, which is the new one. I'm at Rio Grande, which is the old one. But they're redoing Rio Grande, so it'll be the new old one.
Well, then you got that going for you, which is nice.
It is actually.
I had a lot of classes at Rio Grande. A lot of history in that building, but it definitely needed some upgrades.
It definitely needed upgrades, but one of my best moments ever was a friend of mine who is a longtime activist, Alice Embry, came to my office, and she went, "Oh my God," because she had gone to that when it was Austin High School, and she goes, "This is the girls' locker room. Your office is in the girls' locker room."
We got ghosts of panty raids past going on in there.
I think you went too far on that one, but yeah.
Find any holes, peepholes in the wall.
Doc, what a scary time we're living in these days, and with news of RGB passing yesterday, I wanted to have a voice to help guide us on what to expect going forward. Now, I understand that part of that equation is the unknown, which is POTUS, but what is there any? I know there's probably a lot of people that are like, we need to add new Supreme Court justices. We need to stop this nomination. Tell us what we can do, what might happen, and how to prepare for it.
Okay, so just I need to put a disclaimer out there first, then, if we're going to go down that path, which is, as I think this is probably true for most political scientists, we probably spent the last, especially if you're like looking at presidential politics, the last 20 years tearing our hair out, maybe even the last 40 years. But things have become sort of difficult to pin down. And so I think most of us are a little bit lost. The institutions are crumbling. The political culture that had existed for decades has evaporated, and things have become really unpredictable at some level. So I can attempt to give you some narrative, but I don't have any claims to knowing what to do or how this ends.
I understand. There's no statistics that you can gather to help model this. Give me your gut.
Exactly. So one of the fun things about physics is electrons always behave the same way if they're under the same conditions, right? So all you need to do is figure out what electrons do. One of the crazy things about political science is not only do the people change because they grow up, they die, they get replaced, but the institutions themselves are constantly changing. The technology is constantly changing. So there's really no way to create social science laws. So now we have 8 justices. The election is 6 weeks away? A little bit more than 6 weeks away. So
four conservative justices, 1 conservative chief justice, and then 3 supposed liberal justices, right?
Right. And then 2 of the conservatives are very far to the right. 2 are extremely far to the right. And then Roberts every once in a while surprises everybody and runs over and votes with the liberals. So he's probably the equivalent of a moderate conservative.
Yeah.
So the first thing that pops into my mind is Merrick Garland and Antonin Scalia dying, and in 2015, right?
Right.
There was plenty of time to replace Antonin Scalia with Merrick Garland, and of course, Mitch McConnell said there's just simply not enough time. This has never been done. Was it 2000? It was 2016.
2016, and it was 10 months.
Yeah. 10 months, plenty of time. And then, of course, he's saying this has never been done, which isn't true. Reagan appointed a guy in his last year. So it has been done, and it's totally doable. And in fact, Mitch McConnell is going to do everything he can to make it happen, even though it's 1.5 months. So, like the first thing that immediately makes itself available to us to mock is the level of hypocrisy.
But I don't believe shame has ever worked against this current Republican agenda. It hasn't worked, right? It's like all they have to do is say, well, I know I said that, but this is what I'm saying now, and then everybody just kind of 2 steps behind them.
So yeah, and then just so we're fair, Biden said when Reagan did his little appointment that was too short of a period of time and it should be postponed and let the next president figure it out. So there's hypocrisy definitely amongst politicians on both sides for sure. So I'm sure this is going to come up what Biden said just simply because he's running for president, and I'm sure he's going to have a different opinion right now.
Yeah, a good friend of mine posted today 3 quotes, all from 2016. One was from Mitch McConnell that was like, I think the next president should have the choice to make a pick, and I don't think they should go forward. Lindsey Graham said something. Lindsey Graham said 2 things. And then, but I like, those guys are all puppets. Those guys are fake people. They're not somebody I can touch. But one of my friends came on my, because I shared Austin's post, and one of my buddies chimed in. He says, no one's playing nice anymore, nor worried about what they said even yesterday. All you have to do is get some people on your side. Any transgressions will be overcome by tomorrow's new talking points. Is that where we're living?
Yeah, so there are periods of time in U.S. history when we've sort of been polite, and there are periods of time in U.S. history where we've been at each other's throats, and we're clearly in that time period. We're in a very partisan period. Presidential scholars actually have the presidency broken up into these 4 historical framework periods. The first one is called patrician because, right, the idea was that the president was above politics and was noble, and they were like, Roman patricians. And then the next one is called partisan, and it's the longest period for the United States. And then after that is plurality, and during that time period, presidents were polite and they were above politics. And what we're in now is called plebiscitarian, and it's everybody's your enemy. All politics are war. Just destroy.
Yeah, just a hellscape. Yes, it feels like that, and nobody's getting along. So what I wanted to talk, I was listening to one of your lectures, and it was about, I think the title was, "Hey you asshole, get off your couch and go out and start protesting." I think that was the name of it. But tell me about the Federalist 10 and Madison's contribution, specifically when he was talking about factions. I worry a lot about factions, and I wonder, is there any way to protect us and keep our democracy with factions just running amok?
I mean, that's a great question, and it's clearly appropriate in this moment because when factions get out of control, which clearly they're prone to do, you end up with civil wars. Like that's the extreme, and politicians keep sort of building on the faction divides. They keep trying to exacerbate them. They make them worse and worse because they're cynically trying to get reelected. They don't care about the future. They're just looking to the next election. And eventually, at some point, the lies they tell, the stories they weave, the fanaticism they engender turns into violence, and there's a civil war. So this is really dangerous, and that's exactly what we were doing. I want to actually, since you brought up Federalist Paper number 10, what Madison says is so painfully powerful. I think it's worth saying it. So strong is this propensity of mankind to fall into mutual animosities that where no substantial occasion presents itself, the most frivolous and fanciful of distinctions have been sufficient to kindle their unfriendly passions and excite their most violent conflicts. But the most durable source of factions has been the various and unequal distribution of property. And so we see both things that he's talking about in this moment, where people just hate each other for the sake of hating each other. This is just, we can't wait to be cruel to each other. And yet at the same time, the United States, the wealth distribution gap in the United States is looks like 19th century United States, not like 20th century United States, let alone 21st century United States. So we have both elements, just sort of the raw emotional, this is my group, I hate your group, and then the unequal distribution of wealth.
Well, and the minority and majority that Madison is talking about has kind of, well, I guess it's kind of stayed the same.
I think it has. So Madison writes esoterically and exoterically. So he has the exoteric message, which is on the surface. So if you read sort of quickly and you're not paying attention to what he's saying, you get one message. But then if you think about it long enough, he's got an underlying message, which is clearly meant to deliver something else. And so what Madison, I think, was saying exoterically was, we need to worry about majority tyranny. Mm-hmm. So, like, what happens if 60% of the country is one thing and 40% is the other thing? But I think what he was really worried about, and you can tell this in his letters that he wrote to his friends, was that the 99% were going to tyrannize the 1% by voting to redistribute the wealth. And of course, both of those things are in play today still, right?
I got a lot of that. I got a wait. Giving the right to vote to everybody?
Yeah, like, what are you thinking?
For a very long time, you had to be a landowning white male to vote. So Dwayne, his house is in his wife's name, and they don't let him vote.
That seems reasonable to me.
Vote.
Does she let you vote these days?
They do let me vote.
Okay.
Yeah, I voted.
Did they tell you how to vote, though?
I'll be completely honest with you. 2016 was my very first voting experience at fucking 40-something years old. Like, I never cared what went on in the world until 2016 and the debacle that went down then, I always figured my vote never counted anyway,
And the lesson there is, if only you had paid attention 10 years ago, we could have maybe gotten some local state representatives to maybe help to redistribute the districts so that the voting districts were more sound, or maybe we could get everybody to fight the
exactly. What I'm saying is that this entire situation is probably my fault.
Yeah, I concur.
Is what I'm saying.
I concur.
In my generation.
Doc, no way for us to stop the nomination of a new Supreme Court justice, right?
So I don't think there's no way for us as individuals to have a meaningful impact because there's no mechanism for that, right? But as a group, we could. I think protest has serious effects on people. It is very clear that the Supreme Court is influenced by public opinion, maybe more so than the United States Congress, actually. Just think about when the court ruled that it was unconstitutional to deny the LGBTQ community gay marriage.
Right.
That was amazing, but it was in part because they clearly put their finger to the wind and they went, the public really wants this, we got to let this happen. Whereas Congress, there was a fun study done a few years ago, when 30% of the public wanted a bill passed, there was a 30% chance the bill would pass, which is great. You think, wow, that's wonderful. But when 50% of the public wanted the bill passed, it was still 30%. And when it was 80%, it was still 30%. And when it was 100%, it was still 30%. In fact, when it was 0%, it was still 30%. In other words, it literally doesn't make a difference what the public thinks, whether Congress passes a bill or not. It's completely irrelevant. So the act of protesting is a fantastic way to show the government that no, we're not going to tolerate this. And you'll get pushback if for no other reason, politicians who might have been walking on the line, they was sort of just, I'm not sure what to do, might get pushed over into the rank where they say, oh God, I can't ignore this crowd anymore.
Are they worried about losing their elections? I mean, an incumbent candidate 80% of the time wins re-election. Am I right? Is that
no? It's way worse than that. I wish it was 80% of the time. In the so-called blue wave in 2018, 95% of the incumbents won.
Wow.
We've had years where 98% of incumbents won. It's absolutely outrageous. And you pointed to the reason when you were chastising Dwayne for not voting 10 years ago. It's because the politicians, after the census, which are years that end in zero, the politicians in the following year then gerrymander the living hell out of their states. And in effect, what ends up happening is you don't pick your politician picks you. Right. They decide who's in what district in order to rig the elections. I mean, that's the funny thing about when people are like, the Russians rig the elections. What do you think we do here? What do you think gerrymandering is? It's the very definition of rigged elections. I guess the Russians bus people from election polling station to election polling station. They vote multiple times, but
or they're systematically shutting down polling stations in areas that serve maybe minority groups or a more diverse neighborhood or something like that.
So Harris County ran into that issue with polling stations.
Was that the Sweet Briar College or something on the way to Houston? They just closed down. Like I believe, no, Prairie League, Texas. They
Prairie
closed.
View?
Yeah, Prairie View. They they've got a historic black university there, and they shut down like 30% of the polling places that were serving the student community, and moved them 30 miles outside of the town prior to the election. And it's a calculated move to disenfranchise 4,000 African American students that are living in this predominantly white county. And
right,
it's on the wall. We can see it, but once again, how do we shame the people that are doing this?
So one of the magic things about gerrymandering is you do a balance of packing and cracking. So cracking is when you take a community and you divide it up so that they're large enough in your district that you're sort of ruining their vote. Maybe they're 45% or 47%, and then you're the 53. So you sort of swallow them up. And then packing is where you put 90% of the other guy that you hate in that district, so that basically 40 of those points is thrown away votes because they only needed 50% plus one person to win.
Right.
So in those districts where you got cracking going on, where you have this large minority that's being destroyed, if the large minority would just turn out, they could actually overcome the gerrymandering and then flip those districts. In other words, Dwayne is partially right when he says your vote doesn't count, but only because he didn't vote and people like him didn't vote. If you got enough of your friends to just actually show up, you could overcome the cheating because you'd have the numbers. And of course, that's the big problem in the United States. We have hideous voter turnout, 50 to 55% in presidential election years. I think it was 2004, 2006. The Dutch had their government resigned, and the government resigned not because of something they had done, but because something that had been done like 12 years earlier. And they just felt so much shame that even though none of them had anything to do with it, they felt like somebody had to resign to take ownership of this hideous act. It was in Yugoslavia. It's a long story. It's not worth going into. But what it did was it made it so that the Dutch were going to have a new government. They're going to have to go back to the polls. And I think it was 8 months later. And a lot of Dutch had politics fatigue and they didn't show up. So they had a really awful voter turnout of 80%. And the Dutch were forced to ask the question, can any result with 80% be legitimate? Here we are in midterms.
Wow.
We run 30 to 35%. In odd numbered years, we're running 7 to 10%. And the Dutch are wondering if it's constitutional to accept the results of 80% voter turnout. So that's how far off the base we are. And if we could just somehow flip that portion of the population into action, then the cheating wouldn't work as well.
Yeah.
Well, this election too is going to be a little bit bigger an obstacle because of mail-in voting and because of the length of time it's going to take to even get an election result. We may not know who wins this election for a month.
Yeah, and then there's the whole history of mail-in ballots usually get tossed. They don't usually get counted. So now what happens? Now all of a sudden they're going to have to count something that, as a general rule, we don't count.
Well, and they get in normal elections, it's okay. The projections look, because you take a sample size and you know that there's 30,000 envelopes in the hanger that you have to count if you need them. If it's
exactly,
close enough,
and they never do, so they just throw them out.
Right. Now we had a good friend of mine, Dave Berkey. He's the commissioner of what was his title? He was the super voting champion of Falls Church, Virginia,
Superintendent of elections or something.
Yeah, pulling levers, and so he was giving us some peace of mind that everything's going to be okay. The election commission folks are handling this. It sounds like they're being meddled with, all across the country. And then also the mail-in process, as far as the post office's capabilities, there was some hanky-panky there. But do you believe that the Postmaster General is possibly anti-Trump and he is intentionally fouling with the USPS?
I think he's pro-Trump from when he testified in front of Congress. He sounded like he was apologizing for what Trump had done.
I'm just trying to start a rumor, so.
I see. Yeah.
That would be the only way Trump would dump him.
Yeah.
So you've been at this for a while.
Yeah.
And you're a professional agitator. You're a habitual line stepper. And you've got a lot of kids that have learned from you. Are you seeing the action that should be actionable right now? What do you think?
So the answer is yeah. I think this is a revolutionary moment. The fact that people have been protesting now for months across the United States is really interesting. I don't think that we've reached like a tipping point where there's some kind of threshold yet. I would think there would need to be more protesting for that to happen. What I'm really interested in is the voter turnout rate. And the reason I'm interested in is because of what happened in 2018. So, there was a lot of analysis like it wasn't really a blue wave. It was more like a blue ripple, which is, in part true, but in part that's because of the gerrymandering. We had 50% voter turnout in 2018. In midterm election years, we go 30 to 35%. In other words, we had 50% more voter turnout. In other words, if we did that again this year, we're going to have 75% voter turnout, and then we can feel the shame the Dutch feel. You know what I mean? Like we'll be in a whole new category. So one of the interesting things that we also saw in 2018 was a serious uptick in the number of Latinx votes cast, and then also young people cast. And those have been two demographics that are, especially in Texas, historically really bad at showing up in voting.
Are you from Texas originally?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you from Texas originally?
I got here when I was 2 months old. Does that count?
That counts enough.
My dad left Texas to go overseas to pump oil out of Saudi Arabia, and then 2 months after I was born brought me here. So
they had the best crude for a while over there. But Casa Grande, what is your, if you don't mind me asking, what is your ethnic heritage?
So I am. It's complicated. So I'm Swedish and Finnish from my dad's mom. Mm-hmm. I'm German and Italian from my dad's dad, and then my mother is Egyptian with with some Italian mixed in there just to screw with everybody.
I didn't hear any Hispanic. Is there anything?
Yeah, no, I have to put white on the race forms on everything because it always says white, including Middle East and North Africa. So there's nowhere for me to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm half Hispanic and white. There's both mix on both sides. You know, a nice little melting pot. But however, when I'm applying for a loan, I'm white, and for a grant, I am Hispanic.
Yeah, that must be really cool.
No.
When the Latinx population takes over Texas and then does to white people what white people have been doing to the Latinx population over the last century and a half, I'm gonna learn Spanish and pretend. I'm gonna just I want to be from like Oaxaca or something.
This was Mexico much longer than it was Texas. Now, but I'm having a problem with understanding the shift of the Hispanic population. And we're seeing it in Florida. Now, granted, there's a lot of conservative Hispanics in Florida that seem to be going towards Trump. What do you think is explaining this? And then I've got a lot of family here in Central Texas that they are carrying the flag for Trump, and I don't understand it. Help me understand.
So, as a non-Latinx person, I'm obviously jumping into a lane that isn't mine, but I have lots of experience with people from the Middle East who are also Trump supporters. So I could probably talk to it from the experience of a brown person who supports Trump. I think there's a few things going on. One is that the Latinx population, and for that matter, the Arab population in the United States, tend to be socially conservative. So they go, gay marriage, what the hell is that? And abortion, I'm not sure I want that. And so from a social standpoint, it's actually really remarkable that there's 2/3 support amongst the Latinx population for the Democratic Party. And of course, it falls down to immigration. That's the reason why there are that many Latinx supporters of the Democratic Party, but the same is true for the Arab population. I think there's also another thing going on, which is, I'm pretty low on the totem pole, but that guy is lower than me. I'm so excited that I'm not at the bottom. And I think that happens to a lot of immigrants once they've become naturalized, or maybe they're second generation, because what they now see is the new immigrants. Well, you need to be hazed like I was hazed. You just got here. It's time for your hazing too. And wouldn't it be great if we kept you out so I didn't have to share my wealth? So I think there's those two things going on when you see Latinx support for the Republican Party. And 1/3 of the Latinx voting population supports the Republican Party.
Yeah. Yeah. My grandfather used to say, he lived down in Brownsville, Texas. He would say, about the Hispanics in the Valley, when it came to rising up, he said they were like crabs in a bucket. And as soon as one would grab up onto the edge and start to pull themselves out, another one would reach up and pull them back down. And I feel that with all factions, and not just, and it sucks that ethnic identity is a faction, still today. Right. I mean, when are we just going to be humans? When can we get to that point, Doc? That's
when
the
aliens
on the table
are confirmed.
Well, but weren't they just confirmed? I saw the footage and the interview with the Navy pilot. I'm convinced. I'm on board.
Well, what was that?
Convinced as well.
What was that we saw yesterday or last week on the Jersey Turnpike?
I missed something.
That was the Goodyear blimp.
No, it looks like. Was it the Goodyear blimp?
It was totally the Goodyear blimp.
Was it the Goodyear blimp?
It was totally the Goodyear blimp.
Oh my god!
It was.
God.
They zoomed in on the footage.
I mean, there was people stopping on the highway.
That Navy
to film
video,
a Goodyear blimp.
That Navy video was not the Goodyear blimp, sir. That guy saw that craft go 60,000 feet to 1 foot above the water in less than a second.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy stuff. And, you know, if he was like a civilian pilot, maybe I could have blown it off. Not that guy.
Well,
yeah,
the
I've seen a
gene-
couple interviews with the guy, and
matters.
he's put together, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Navy pilots, that's why NASA loves Navy pilots. They're a special breed. I mean, what kind of idiot tries to land an airplane on a runway that's too short and it's moving?
Right?
Well,
Hey,
I
you
mean,
know, I wanted
Go
to
ahead.
ask you about something. I saw this week an executive order that our president was talking about signing, something about the 1776 project, creating a commission to develop a more patriotic curriculum for our schools.
Yeah. I mean, Putin has done the same thing in Russia. It's worked out great for them. China has a similar program. The People's Republic, of course, not Taiwan.
Right.
I just North Korea does this. Cuba, Venezuela, like all our best friends have. Saudi Arabia,
I feel like it's a step in the right direction.
Iran is actually really good at it. I actually recommend that we use Iran's model. They do lots of patriotic music on their radio, and by the way, they get really excited when they talk on the radio, and it's, you know, it makes you nervous. It's very effective. I think we can learn a lot.
I have spent a lot of time, Doc, trying to melt down a lot of problems that we face in this world. You know, like, the beef industry, if they expand to a global rate, we're going to starve this planet and we can't feed the cows. It's going to be an extinction event. Oh, the caldera in Yellowstone.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for that one.
You know, and then the political problems and with factions that I keep bringing up like a broken freaking record. Like, shut up about the factions, Jimmy. But every time I try and find a solution to that that one individual problem, I fail. And then I say to myself, you know what? I think the only thing that will do it is an overhaul of the early childhood education system in this country, to include a lot more philosophy and world religion to help bridge some sort of understanding at an early age, and try and teach empathy. I've tried to teach common sense, and I've been told that you can't do it, but maybe we can teach empathy, and then we'll have some solutions 30 to 40 years from now. What do you think, Doc?
So that would be great in principle, except for we only have 10 years left to fix the climate. So that's not actually a great solution for my kids who are 7 and 10, who are you know, looking at a basket case.
How are your kids planning on voting? And then I'll tell you if I care or not.
So I talked them out of voting for the Green Party. That's what they wanted to do, because they were like, isn't the environment more important than labor rights? And I said, well, unfortunately, voting socialist isn't an option either, so you're just stuck with the Democrats. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to vote.
You, as a government professor, had to look your 7-year-old in the eye and say, if you vote for this candidate, you are throwing away your vote.
No, my moment was in 2016 when Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, and I had to explain that's not how we figure out who wins, and then that some people's vote matters more based on where they live. That for some reason people in Wyoming and Rhode Island, their vote is more important than a Texan's vote or a Californian's vote. They're just baffled.
You bring us back to the Electoral College, and I wanted to mention something like the fight over having the Electoral College versus not having it. I think that's too big of a fight. But can we reform it and get it to a point where would it require a constitutional amendment to make it so that it's not a all or none situation in the states, to maybe make the Electoral College a little more fair?
So before we say if there's a way to make the Electoral College more fair, I want to point out that we did get rid of it for one election, 1832. Mm-hmm. Andrew Jackson hated the Electoral College, and he basically got rid of it for one election, and we had a straight popular vote. So it is totally doable. The reason why the justification for keeping it was if the American public did something really stupid and elected a complete bonehead moron or an agent from another country, because those are the two big concerns they had, right? Was that this person would destroy the United States because he was a moron, or he would destroy the United States or at least undermine it because he worked for, I don't know, say the Russians. Then the Electoral College could step in and go, nope, and then block that person. And, you know, we've elected plenty of morons. I mean, I think out of the 44 individuals who are the 45 presidents, because Grover Cleveland gets counted twice, probably 30 of them were full-fledged idiots. So that failed. And then we have at least one who is clearly not on our side, and we let that guy get through too. So I think any justification for the Electoral College should be thrown out. I think the only way to reform it would be to make it so that the Senate was based on population and no longer 2 per state. That's not possible. I mean, I shouldn't say that's not possible because anything's possible. Maybe the way to make it possible would be for the Senate to change the Senate rules. So there might be a loophole way to make it possible. But then the reason it's technically not possible is the Constitution actually says the one thing that cannot be amended is that there must be 2 senators per state. That is sacrosanct. So we can't even amend the Constitution to change it so that it's based on population. So I think the only thing to do is get rid of it.
So you can't amend it. We can't amend it to make it 4 per state.
That's a good question. Now that you've asked me, you've stumped me. I think it says specifically 2. It's 2 per state.
Wait, hold on. Whatever, Doc. I just want to mark this one. Can somebody mark the time?
By multiples of 2.
Mark the time.
Mark the time. The professor just said I asked an amazing question and stumped him. Kyle, you got that?
902, I think.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Don't tell me. Tell your producer, man.
903? Was it 905?
It's marked. It's marked. So, yeah. If you had your way, a genie comes down and says, you know what? I'm going to give you 3 wishes if you use them on bullshit stuff. But if you want, I'll give you unlimited fix the United States government wishes, whatever you want. Go ahead. What's your list? What do you?
Geez, wow. Well, one thing I would get rid of single-member district representation, which is what we use in almost everything in the United States. It is a hideous system that is basically winner takes all. So if you're in a district that's 49-51, the people with the 49 are hosed, and it just seems so brutal. There's no room for conversation or negotiation. So right away, proportional representation is an obvious improvement, but I'm a big fan of single transferable vote. It used to be on the planet, you could tell who did what based on the language spoken. If you spoke English, you did single member district representation. If you didn't speak English, you did proportional representation. What's happened is because single member district representation, SMDR, also known as BDSM, is such a horrible system that almost all of the English-speaking nations have now jettisoned it. And they're now almost all doing single transferable vote, like New Zealand, Ireland, and Australia.
And explain to me again what single transferable vote is.
So there's actually multiple ways to do this. The sort of the straightforward thing is you have a list, it has your candidates on it, and then you rank order them. And then there's a quota to win. And if you rank ordered candidate A at 1, and when it's time to count your ballot, if A has already won, then they go down to see who the next person is on your list, and it's E. Okay, so this ballot now counts for E, unless E had already won, in which case they go to the third person on your list.
Okay.
So it's an attempt to create a little bit of nuance. And the amazing thing about single transferable vote is it tends to overrepresent minorities. So Northern Ireland is the first place to do it. They did it at 98 as part of the Dayton Peace Accords. And the reason they did it was so that all the violent factions would know that even though they were really small, they could just lay down their arms and vote, and they were going to get representation and they have a voice. So
well, it allows you to vote for who you want.
Yes.
So like you
and to have preferences and nuance.
You can make that. I'm making a statement vote, right?
Sure.
So like somebody in the last 2016 election, somebody could have voted for Jill Stein, and then maybe thrown a Bernie vote in, and then done a Hillary, and then that would that vote have gone to Hillary?
So then, okay, so let's say you set it up like that. So you had gone Jill Stein, Bernie, Hillary, right?
Right. In
round one, if nobody has an outright majority, because now we're talking about a slightly different kind of single transferable vote, but this would totally work. Then what you do is you take the candidate with the least number of votes and eliminate them, and then go back to their list and see who the next candidate was on those lists, and then you give those votes over. So then at the end of round one, the Jill Stein votes would go to Bernie. And then, right, if it's the U.S. election, so Trump is on the ballot, but he hasn't won a majority, then you eliminate the Bernie votes, and then those votes would go to Hillary. And then Hillary could walk away with the election. And so it does allow you to – one of the problems with what we do is you have to kind of guess, dude, if I vote for my candidate, I'm making the guy I hate the most win. Do I really want that? You know what? Screw it. I'm going to vote for the lesser of the two evils, and I walk into the polling booth and I vote for a person I absolutely abhor because they're better than the other guy. Who wants that kind of politics? And so, so single transferable vote would do that. Also proportional, because you know that you're going to get proportionally represented. So you might as well vote the way you want to.
Right.
Vote your heart's content. Louisiana came up with a compromise, and what they did was they made it so you had a majority. You had to have a majority to win. So the rest of the country, you just have to come in first place. But by making it so that you have to have a majority to win, if neither candidate gets a majority, then you do a runoff. And that also helps because then in the runoff, you go candidate 1 and 2, and you pick between the lesser of the two evils. Having said that, it's actually
their chances of electing a Republican is very, very high.
Well, unless, of course, a bunch of Republicans run at the same time and they split the Republican vote, and then 2 Democrats rise to the top, which almost happened in California in 2018.
They did end up with a Democratic governor, didn't they? The last one, I think.
Louisiana?
Democrat?
I can't tell you.
You might be thinking of
John Bell.
I got stumped again.
I don't know if he's Republican or Democrat.
I should go get a beer.
But yeah, you should. The drinking word is notorious, by the way. And then, in Alabama, let's not forget there's a Republican that has run as a Democrat for like the last 12 years, and he wins every time. And that just because people will go in and here's a question for you, Doc. How do you feel about just straight party votes? And that's how that guy has won, because people have been able to just vote Democrat, and then he's a Republican, but he's a Democrat in the state legislature. It's such a great game. And then they don't even show up for a primary because they know he's going to win, even though they know he is clearly a Republican. Like, that's the kind of stuff. But that's because we have a dumb electorate. Like, is our democracy only as good as the education and the smarts of our electorate?
100%. If you have a dumb electorate, which we do, I mean, Americans don't know history, they don't know English, they don't know how the American government works. Like, it's bad. Then you're going to get bad outcomes. I mean, it's GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. You know what I mean? Like, there's no point even. I actually like what H.L. Mencken said about democracy. He says, democracy is the belief that the common man knows what he wants and deserves to get it good and hard. That's kind of where I'm at with democracy.
My friend Andrea. So I chimed in with her husband today because I know she is passionate about this, and with RBG passing, I know a lot of my friends on my Facebook feed are hurting today because there's a loss of a titan, a titan in that she has held the torch for women's rights for many years and sex equality. And I didn't see the documentary, but I was listening as I was pulling into the parking lot. The woman who interviewed her good friend and a mentor of hers, asked her about the sex scene in the movie, and RBG said that her husband. She's like, what did you think about the sex scene? She says, "Oh, I think my husband would have loved it." And I love the relationship she had with Scalia, who clearly on the other side of the fence, the two of them.
Yeah.
That harkens back to the politics that I remember with like Ted Kennedy and the other bozo and those guys like coming together to cross the aisle. Can you see? Do we need another 9/11 to shake us up, to come back together? And then also, I just want to say the reason why 9/11 sucked for us was because of the with us or against us campaign. And I feel like with the COVID here, we're kind of in the same boat. This, hey, how can you talk bad about the president when he's leading us through? He's trying to be a wartime president. Was that too much for you?
I'm sorry. What was the last thing you said?
Was that too much for you? For one?
No, it was too much. But so I agree with you with everything you said about Ginsburg. She was amazing justice. She was an incredible icon, right? I mean, I think she's one of those people that we're going to remember forever in the history books. She won't be forgotten. I don't think we need another 9/11. I think we need something way more constructive than that. And exactly for why you said, I think George Bush Jr.'s handling of it, his response to it, right? Like staying in the air and hiding like a coward instead of flying to DC and getting in front of the White House and saying something. And then when he finally did speak, what did he say? Go out and buy cars. We need to jumpstart the economy. Like, and then it was this rhetoric of you're against us or you're for us, and everybody, it seemed, shaved their head and suddenly joined the military. What the hell is this? And then we randomly attack two countries that had nothing to do with 9/11, and both end up disastrous wars that completely destabilize the world. So yeah, please, no more 9/11. I want to be done with that. But I get what you mean, like something to bring us together. And the nice thing about crises is if you go through the crisis together with the person, you're going to be buddies, even if you don't agree about issues. But we don't do that as a society. And don't forget the Patriot Act. What a nightmare. Yeah. We're still dealing with it because it's still the law of the land. If we don't deal with anything as a society, like how many wars are we in? And almost nobody serves in the military. What is it? 8% of Americans are veterans. And then, like if there is a war, we don't feel it. We don't notice it. We don't feel it. We hide the body bags. We don't even want the press to go receive the bodies. We don't even honor our war dead. Like there is something seriously wrong with us. We want to hide behind a 6-foot-tall privacy fence and overeat and binge watch Netflix. We don't want to deal with the planet. We want to be divorced from it.
And occasionally eat mushrooms, but sometimes
and
eat too much beef, to go back to what you were saying earlier.
God, the beef industry. Doc, I hope this was the greatest interview you ever had in your life.
It really was. Yeah, for sure. This is amazing.
Mark the tape.
Before you let me go, because it sounds like you're about to get rid of me.
Well, we have to have a cigarette break before we get we're going to talk to Danette Greger about the Saves Austin coalition, and it's important that we get some information about what's going on about the music community here. So.
I just want to say one thing, which is don't lose hope, because if you lose hope and then you become paralyzed by it, then you don't act. In other words, it's possible that the Democrats in the Senate will block a Trump nominee. It's possible that if enough people turn out, you can overcome your gerrymandered district. In other words, go ahead and act. Don't allow yourself to be immobilized by despair.
It's important.
Pretend it's going to be okay and do it anyway.
Very. You might be our most popular guest yet. You're all over the comments right now.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad?
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
I mean, fear is paralyzing, and it calls for a decision. The fight or flight instinct kicks in at times. And what I've often told people, well, I learned from one of my old programmers that I worked with. He's like, you'd get the call and they'd have a problem, and you could just run into the problem. But anytime I called him, he'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go down the street, get a cup of coffee, think about it, and I'll call you in a minute, and then we'll start to solve it. And I'll be like, dude, people are on the phone. And he's like, no. Somebody says, hey, that building's on fire, and you just run in there, you're gonna get burnt up. So sometimes you got to walk around the house and see which entrance is the one to go into.
Yeah.
And that's why we're leaning on you today to help us know what our next step is. And I think what you're saying is we need to organize.
Yes, for sure.
And then, like I saw somebody, a good friend of mine, she posted a meme, and I just want us to stop sharing memes. Leave the memes to me on this show. I do my little 2-minute little meme thing. Let me digest them and let that eat at my soul, and then I'll share it with you. But somebody posted a meme about stop saying R.I.P. to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was Jewish, and I was like, oh, this is Russian propaganda. Like this is just because I don't think. I know RBG doesn't care if you say RIP RBG. I know that as a fact because she does not care about anything right now. She's gone. She's no longer with us. She does not look at your social media freaking wall. Right, Doc?
I mean, I guess it depends on your faith.
But I saw that when I saw that, and it was from a left-leaning friend of mine, and was sharing that as like, hey, everybody, it's like spirit animals. Somebody said, somebody posted, somebody had a big thing about white people saying, oh, my spirit animal is a rabbit. It's like, oh, that is cultural appropriation. So
yeah.
I understand how Trump happened. He is a symptom of something, and I may identify more as a liberal, but I sometimes look amongst my peers and I go, that's pretty silly. That's pretty silly, and I can see how the other side might make fun of us because of what you're doing right now. And I understand it. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Absolutely. There are moments when we go too orthodox. Like, in other words, we become too caught up in our dogma, and we think we know all the answers. And the reality is, ain't none of us know shit. and a little bit more flexibility might be in order from time to time.
Well, listen, I want to have you back on. Will you please join us again a little closer to the election, and maybe we'll think of something else to ask you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And then what now? Awesome. How can we help you? The Austin School, your book. How can we send people to make you rich and famous?
Oh wow! Buy The Blood Throne of Caria. It's my historical fiction novel. And go to YouTube and watch an Austin School lecture. It doesn't have to be mine, because there's a bunch of Austin School lectures that aren't me. So if you're sick of me, that's not a problem.
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of people that are going to go, and I'm going to send them specifically to the one that we watched. That was about how to be active. Also, a history of being active, and getting your voice out there. What was the name of the title of that one? That was
I don't remember.
I think it was activism.
But you had 3 guys watching a 2.5-hour lecture today. I just want you to
Awesome.
and it held our attention. So that's cool.
Not
Cool.
only did I watch a 2.5-hour lecture, but I watched a couple of 2-hour episodes of another podcast that you were on. So I was really downloading the information today.
Okay, cool. Which podcast?
The
Was it-
Plutopia News Network.
Oh, okay.
Those guys
Yeah.
were a blast.
Yeah.
Well, I hope the online teaching is going well, and you keep up what you got going, because I think the kids need you, and we will send as many of our listeners over to continue to get some information from you. And I want you to know that you are always welcome here. If you've got anything that you need to shout to the heavens about, let me know.
I will do. Will do.
Well, thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon. I'm going to now remove you, I think.
Take care. Sounds great.
We'll talk to you later. Dr.
Do you know how to do this?
Dr. Roy Casagranda. I
Thanks,
don't.
Doc. Have a great one.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah. Oh, no, I found you.
It's okay,
I'll see you later, Doc.
Okay.
There he goes. Oh, there, I brought him back in.
I'll take care
So,
of it.
there's the doctor. Take what the doctor gave you. It's your prescription. The bottom line is get more active. Man, you know what I should probably do? I'm going to start a religion, and I'm going to get people really going on this. What do you think? Are you with me,
already
Dwayne?
started a religion.
I'm going to start a new
you
one.
already started a religion.
I do have.
Okay.
I do. If only we had religion to save the world.
Hey, who do we know that
interesting stuff.
sells timeshare?
Huh? Timeshare salesman? I don't know.
Who do we know that sells timeshare?
Great show, guys. Sorry, I can't stay for the whole thing. What is that all about? Is he calling this a timeshare?
I can't stay for your whole presentation either.
All right.
Cut
Hey,
this thing
Kyle.
short so I can hit the pool.
Kyle, will you get us a break video so we can take a quick cigarette break? And remember, Notorious is our drinking word. This is not brought to you by Austin Seltzer, but I wish they would respond to my damn emails, Austin Seltzer. I've emailed you 3 times asking you to send me free seltzer, and you have not replied to any of my requests. Gosh.
Oh, it's just some guy named Steve that doesn't sell anything. Never mind.
Oh, was that as good as you thought it was going to be?
It was great, man. I was super excited to have him on. He's an interesting dude. I enjoyed it.
The nerves of interviewing people. Sometimes I don't ingest everything. I gotta go back and listen to that. This might be a show I would go back and listen to, is what I'm saying.
I'm going to say the same thing I've said probably the last 2 episodes. I can't. We need to get a studio somewhere and be all in one room,
so we can look each other in the eye. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I really do miss looking you in the eye.
Kyle, you got a break video for us?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's
You
do
ready?
it. All right, we'll be
We're
right
gonna go to
back.
break. We'll see you guys in about 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
All right.
5
Out.
minutes ish.
And break.
Ish.
Susan, send in Mademoiselle Simon for questioning.
You want to speak with me, detective?
Mademoiselle Simon.
Please, detective, call me Angelique.
Very well, Angelique. Do you know why I called you here? Do you have any idea how much trouble you're in?
Oh, no, detective. I am so confused. I'm not aware of your customs and the ways of laws of your country. I am just a simple little French girl from the south of France.
We're not in France anymore, kitten. Way I see it, you have two options. You either can take a long trip back to Gay Paris, or you're heading right back to the slammer.
No, detective, no. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just a simple little French girl.
Then you better start singing like the bird you are, sweetheart. Tweet, tweet, parakeet. Now, where's the necklace? What'd you do with it? And who else is involved?
No, you are very confused. I don't know no necklace of what you talk about. I don't know jewels. I know nothing you talk about. I'm just a simple little French girl.
You trying to tell me you don't like shiny things? All beautiful women love jewelry. You telling me you couldn't see yourself wearing this to one of your fancy French parties? Or maybe hobnobbing with your black-tie diplomatic friends?
No, detective. I'm just a poor little French girl. I don't have the need for fancy things like that.
No need for fancy things, huh? Pretty dish like you probably doesn't have much trouble getting men to buy things. Like Fernando, the Spaniard. Or your Italian friend, Angelo.
I don't even know of these men that you speak of.
Yeah. You're a poor farm girl from France, ain't you? Drop the act doll face you even made. Listen here, girlie. I'm gonna ask you one more time. Where's the necklace?
I'll never tell you.
Where is it?
Get your dirty mitts off me, copper!
It's your turn. I got him last time.
Rain check?
Rain check.
How are you, buddy?
What did I just watch?
That was just a student production from young Jimmy Preston at ACC. I thought with Dr. Casagrande it'd be nice to show some of my work from when I was a student at the fine institution of Austin Community College.
I'm pretty sure there's no way he was watching after we let him go.
You think he immediately was like, "I'm out of here."
I'm done.
All right.
Done.
Well, we're going from the frying pan into the fire. We've got another guest joining us right now, Annette Greger.
Right.
She's been in the event community, and she's one of my favorite folks to see over at back in the day at Mohawk when Mohawk was opened, and she has felt the rhythm of the drum, and the rhythm is telling us that the city of Austin, the music city, the city of live music, is in peril. And we've talked to a lot of our musician friends that are bending, not breaking, and but at the same time, the world that they are mourning, which is no longer, may not ever return the way we once knew it, because the venues are suffering. And so we had this Saves rally last week, and I noticed online, and I shared several of her posts, because she has started speaking out. And after the doc, I think it's just appropriate that we're talking to her to see what's going on in the music community and how we can truly work together to save some of these institutions that we know about. Let's bring Jeanette Greger onto the show. Am I doing that? No, Kyle's doing
are
it.
you capable?
Jeanette.
Hey guys.
Thank God for Kyle. You are a friend of Kyle's. Any friend of Kyle's is a friend of ours.
I'm
How are you?
okay. I'm okay. It's been a weird week.
So when you decide to get off the couch and grab a microphone and then also maybe yell at some of your friends, not yell at them, but just say, "Hey, who's with me?" and you start working towards something, things happen, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, things happen rapidly. It was me and Dan Holloway, formerly of Barracuda, started talking on, I want to say, Wednesday, and then I was like, yeah, we should do something. And then Thursday, I talked to a friend of mine from the Red River Cultural District, and he was like, well, if you're going to do something, they're hoping to pass this resolution at City Council on Thursday or next Thursday. And I was like, so that's 7 days from now. Cool. He's like, so maybe if you want to do something, it should be in support of that. So I called up Dan and I was like, all right, we got to do it Wednesday. If we're going to do something, we got to do it Wednesday. And then, I was trying to be legal, I guess. And get permission to use the space in front of City Hall steps for this rally to support live music venues in the Austin community. And so I wrote a few people and I was like, hey, can I use the space? Hey, can I? And they didn't get back to me, and it's like Friday at like 4:45, and I'm like, they're never going to get back to me, and I have to like announce this if we're going to do something. And they ended up getting back to me like after I announced it and was like, okay, we're doing it. Beg for forgiveness, right? Right. And then we had a really amazing turnout. I mean, if you've ever tried to book a show last minute in Austin or a show in Austin and,
Right.
Between 60, 75 people show up, like that's pretty successful. Especially if it's a local show and especially if it's a local show with someone speaking who doesn't do public speaking. But I mean, the need is there. And I think I just got a little push from some friends in the community that were like, if you could do something, do something. And the only thing I really know how to do is complain about things publicly. So I did that and the resolution passed.
So this resolution does what for us?
Okay, so the SAVES resolution was brought to City Council by the mayor, by Adler, to basically put on paper and say, we're aware that there are some sectors within the Austin community that have not gotten funding from any of the things that have been available. So that's like the PPP, the SBA, Business Association loans, the Creative Spaces grant. There's been a handful of different loans and grants that different businesses could apply to that were allocated as part of the CARES Act or as part of other grants, right? They designated 3 different sectors within the Austin community that were the greatest hit and had the greatest need. So those 3 sectors were bars and restaurants, childcare, which is an interesting one that I wasn't aware of, but yeah, it makes total sense. But what I was really focused on was music venues or performance spaces, because, well, because of a lot of reasons. One, selfishly motivated. I'd like to one day go back to work at Mohawk, or at the very least, go back to seeing shows at Mohawk, right?
Right.
Which I think we can all kind of get behind.
Yeah.
But the facts are, we were the first to close. We'll be the last to open. And there was a study done that said, if music venues don't get any additional funding, 90% of them will close permanently.
By Halloween, I think it said.
By Halloween. Yeah. Which is insane.
Pretty close.
Yeah. And, at the rally, I made a point in my speech to say, when I moved to Austin in 2002, and I was floored, like, holy crap, like 250 live music venues in one city, and from living here, you get super spoiled. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've like gone to a different city after South by, kind of on that like warbly brain vacation of I just need to be anywhere but Austin.
Right.
And so you take that like event worker weekend, so like Sunday through Wednesday, and you go somewhere and you're like, it's Monday night, and you're like, so what's going on in this town? And people are like, it's Monday.
Nothing.
What's wrong with you? And you're like, oh, I just got really used to living in a place where on a Monday there's 50 different shows that I have to choose from.
Yep.
Do you have another city that you could compare to as far as the numbers, like Nashville or Atlanta or New Orleans?
I don't think so. I mean, I think with the amount of music venues that we have here, I haven't actually done any of like, I've never really looked into it. I used to live in Nashville. Actually, I lived in Nashville right before I moved to Austin. And Nashville's interesting. It is a really interesting city.
I love Nashville. It is interesting. It's like a country town with a rock and roll problem.
Yeah. Well, so in the history of music cities, right? When they were sort of vying for who would be the music capital, it was right after music started getting printed on paper. And that's why music started becoming so popular sort of to the everyman instead of just being something that rich people could enjoy. So when they were trying to figure out like where this hub of printed music would be, there were a couple other, couple cities that were vying for that title, but they ended up going with Nashville as Music City because it had the most amount of printing presses, because Nashville printed the most amount of Bibles of anywhere else in the country.
These King James Bibles?
Yeah. So if you want a city that is constantly in conflict with itself, Nashville is your guy, because you're taking an incredibly conservative, like the buckle of the Bible Belt, and putting the makings of rock and roll in it, and rhythm and blues and all of that.
Are you telling me that there's possibly a printing press right now in Nashville that prints both Bibles and the notorious B.I.G. sheet lyrics?
Yeah, that's very possible.
That's the drinking word of the night, by the way.
Oh, well, water will have to do for me, but that's just because I forgot to grab a beer before I came in here.
It's all right.
Hey, did you guys hear Yingling's going to be nationwide now? I'm so happy. I don't have to drive to Louisiana to get Yingling.
Progress. The riots helped get Yingling across the Mississippi. Jeanette, the prospect of losing 90 venues. Now, on paper, that sucks. It means that the people that currently own these places or hold the lease for these properties are going to get displaced, and a concept may die. Now, It's not like it's going to get bulldozed. It means that somebody else or a speculator is going to step in and take these up. So music isn't going to die, but the people that have been bringing us the vibe of Austin for years are currently threatened. And these are venues that we love. What can the person that's listening to us right now, what is an action item for them?
Well, so that's already happening and has been. unfortunately. What you're talking about, it has a term, it's called disaster capitalism, right? So that's when a large corporation sees a natural disaster or any kind of disaster, and they swoop in and buy property or businesses for, pennies on the dollar because they're taking advantage of that. A large part of what my group going forward, we're working on creating a coalition now, which is just a fancy word for like combination of a bunch of different groups and a bunch of different people with the same cause. But part of what I'd like us to focus on is the very real prospect of disaster capitalism within Austin, which is, I don't want to name names or anything, but if there were like a giant conglomerate of music venues out there, it's the idea that they would come in and they'd buy up Mohawk, or they'd buy up Elysium, or Lost Well, Hotel Vegas, and stuff like that. And then really considering what the ramifications of that are in the future. We don't have to look back very far to see what that turns into, right? We can just look at radio.
Right.
So when they started to ease some of the regulations they had on radio monopolization laws, that's when
what you're talking about is the 1996, the Communications Act of 96, and that Clinton forever.
Hold on, Jimmy's kind of an expert here. Let's let him talk for a second.
I struck a chord.
It's like, dude, you could have done anything else, but the damn Communication Act of 96. Anyway, okay, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I digress. But yes, you're right, because and the reason, and let me just one more time. So the problem with that was it killed the mom and pop, and it killed the localness of the medium.
Mhm.
And they were bought up by the conglomerates. Exactly.
Let's call it what it is. It made radio unlistenable. Nobody listens to it anymore. Everybody listens to digital and satellite. Terrestrial radio's dead.
You're in Paris, Texas. You're in Guadalajara. I don't care. And then New York is telling you what you need to listen to. This is the new hit, and you don't have local. Like, I remember calling into the radio station and asking for. Now, I was asking for pretty stupid songs like Falco, Rock Me, Amadeus, and stuff like that. But yes, so this is the danger. There's large companies that are ready to swoop in and take these venues that we love and just sanitize them and make them the money makers as soon as the gates open. But is it safe for us to start going to shows right now?
No. And that a large part of my language with the coalition, with the rally even, is this is not a movement to reopen, right? What you want to look at within all of this crap is who's being responsible, who's sacrificing,
right?
And are they getting help for being responsible and sacrificing?
Yeah.
Because what that breaks down to in very, very simple terms is what is their value. So if I run 1,000 capacity music venue, and a global pandemic comes through, I say, you know what? We're not going to open because I give a shit about human life. And I care that my clientele, if I opened a music venue, let's be honest here. If you own an independent music venue, you're not doing it for the money. I mean, the operating costs are ridiculous, there are some that do really well and there are some that make a profit, but we're not talking about a lot of profits.
Are you saying that you're doing this for the babes?
I'm probably doing it because I am a masochist and enjoy live music and have a passion for presenting as a sort of spiritual experience for people to come and have. I mean, that's effectively what it is.
Well,
rock and roll kind of churches.
You and I have worked on a production together. I remember at the end of the last Fun Fest, we were on stage getting our picture taken. That was a special event, and anybody that works in the event community, or if you remember, if you were in a high school play and you were just like the person that painted the stuff, and maybe you were a flower in the production, it doesn't matter. That whole, like, from the first meeting to the run through to the shit of it, you know, and then the cast party, like, that is why it's a family. And I've been lucky to rub elbows with a lot of event greats like yourself in this town. And I mean, how's everybody holding up? There was what, a $1,200 check, and then $600 extra, if you could even qualify for unemployment.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think so. You bring up some interesting points there, and one of which I'm very, very careful to use that particular word when it comes to businesses, because I think that there are a lot of businesses that take advantage of it when they refer to their staff as family, right? So, however, there is an exception, and I think that exception sort of revolves around this collective trauma that we've all experienced working festivals together. So if you worked at a music venue during South by Southwest in Austin, it doesn't matter if you're in far North Austin, far South Austin, East or West or downtown, you have experienced trauma. There's, I mean, it kind of sounds like I'm joking, but I'm actually not. I mean, think of how emotionally stripped to the core you are by the end of that 10-day period or 2-week period, depending on when you worked. Think of how many hours you've put in, how little sleep you've gotten, how your diets have changed, how your body physically changes.
So much Gold Bond.
Or Red Bull or coffee or whatever's free, that like, oh God, there's tacos on the upper deck tonight. Like, oh yeah. Whatever you can walk to in 2 minutes.
If you can still walk.
If you can, yeah. But when you go through a collective trauma with people, you bond, right? So that's us during Fun Fest to a T, for sure. That bond really does become about being family. I mean, what a better way to describe your family than collective trauma? I mean, I'm not judging y'all's family, but I love mine, and that's kind of what we are.
Well, I mean, there's scientific studies that have proven that, like gathering at a church and everybody doing the same thing and then getting up, kneeling, singing songs, doing the same, prayers, and then just gathering and being in a social place. That's why at the beginning of this pandemic, people were like, why can't we go to church?
Yeah.
Because they were fiending like they were on a heroin detox. And I get it, because dopamine is released when you hang out. And that's why we go to these venues. That's why we do these productions. And when everything works the way it should, it's magic.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
That's why turnout's been so good at these Trump rallies, man, because some people need a place to congregate and have a good time.
Yeah. So there's a really great interview with Julie Taymor, who is the theater director, film director, and kind of one of my theater idols, I guess. And she talks about theater as church, and really compares the two to that. I mean, it is a spiritual experience. Like, I have had that, even though I'm spoiled. I mean, let's be honest. Like a year ago, I was like, oh, great, live music capital of the world. Like I was one of those jerks because I got to walk into Mohawk every night of the week and see whatever I want, or like any number of venues. And it probably took, I mean, it took like 2 weeks of not having that to truly understand. I take it back. I take all of it back.
Right.
You know, I'm really sorry, universe and world. But I've
Did you get a Murphy bed?
a Murphy bed.
No, yeah, because I'm wondering
It'll
if
change your
maybe-
life
Yeah. Anyway,
as long as you don't get stuck in it.
I
Look,
feel like that's a callback to something I'm not.
Maybe.
Keep waiting to
You
get a text message from him that he's trapped against the wall, stuck between his Murphy bed and the wall.
it was a test to see if you listened to the beginning of the show, and you failed.
Oh, you
But
know, no, and I apologize. I was actually in a coalition meeting up until 5 minutes before I logged on to this.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I wanted to. I
So-
couldn't multitask.
You're at a coalition meeting. I mean, what these venues need money,
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Well, there's money up for grabs with this saves vote, right?
Mhm.
When there's
Yep.
money up for grabs, a couple of billion, maybe.
Well, so there isn't a hard number yet. But what the resolution did was it cemented on paper, like, we're going to find it. And there were a couple really great suggestions actually built into the resolution, which is really neat, from city council members. So, and I hate that I sound so surprised, but like, it was a really nice surprise to hear different city council members say, like, wow, you know what? Like, we got a lot more back in sales taxes than we thought we would during the pandemic, because everyone's sort of ordering more things for delivery, or they're ordering more things online, which generates more tax revenue than Austin typically has, because we'll usually go to a store to buy things instead of getting delivered or whatever. So that was written into the language of the resolution. Look here. Another was, if I'm understanding it correctly, a fund that's been set aside for displaced businesses as part of the convention center add-on or expansion.
right.
Right.
And that was specifically said, like, hey, we're not going to need this for a little while. Why don't we look at this money so that we can help venues now, or venues, childcare, bars and restaurants. It's important to note that all of them were put into the resolution. So because that language is in there, and because the language is like, hey, you know, city manager, this is critical, this is vital, that language is in there too. And this is really a representation of what the identity of this city is. Like, moving forward without our music venues, we're not Austin, Texas live music capital of the world anymore. And if we lose 90% of our venues, right? And we started with 250, it's real easy math to get to 25.
Not just that, but the fact that the cities realized that they missed out on a huge windfall of capital for South by. They're going to miss it for ACL. They're going to miss it for Moon Tower. You know, all of this stuff that,
I mean, we might not have South by next year.
Yeah,
might not.
yeah. It's a very real prospect. I mean, looking at that, and I was talking to somebody the other day about that. They asked me directly, you know, you think we'll have a South by Southwest 2021? And there's a couple of factors in there. Can our country /state /city get its shit together enough to not have a global pandemic still?
Right.
It's a big question. Even if we do have a vaccine, is that something that people are going to take? I mean, we have people that won't wear masks. Like,
We got people that wouldn't take the vaccines we already have. So
right.
I mean,
Exactly. So that's a very real question. If we do have a handle on it, if we are, say, March 2021, if we are able to congregate en masse, if we can have mass gatherings of people, I truly believe this is my faith in our music industry and our event industry here. Based on the reaction of all of the venues after South by canceling in that week-long period between when it was canceled and when everything was canceled,
Right.
based on that reaction, even if South by doesn't come back officially, something will happen. Like, we're Austin. We gotta party.
I think the event and music industry has been on the forefront of being responsible about this, and so many of my friends are doing the online shows or just recording stuff and releasing it online.
Yeah.
A lot of albums being released, and I hope, I'm not saying I'm generous, but I give what I can. And then like anytime somebody's, and then this is once again to my fans and our fans for this show. When you tune in, just tune in and leave your phone. Go do whatever you're gonna do for 2 hours, but let it play the whole time. You don't know what that means to when we go and look at the metrics. So I do that with my friends when they go live. I will turn it on and leave it on. I might not listen to all of it. I might turn up Tucker because I want to yell at that guy.
I was going to fight that guy.
I want to punch him in the face. Oh my God. I just want to grab him by the anyway.
Hey, are there any maybe people in the media that you might want to fight at some point, Jeanette? Because we can make a whole card of these fights. Maybe we just start asking everybody if they want to fight someone famous on this thing.
I mean, I feel like I could take on Mitch McConnell right now and I'd win.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a very large person. I mean, I know for all your viewers at home, I'm really close to my camera.
He looks like a turtle. I'm sure he's
but I'm like 110 pounds, right? But I really feel like the fury in me, it's like that rush of adrenaline like moms and dads get, like where they can like lift a car if their child's in trouble.
Yeah.
Like if I saw him, I don't know if I could be responsible for. I mean, if I had to fight somebody, I mean,
I get it.
No,
I'm the same way with Tucker Carlson.
You're bringing up Mitch McConnell, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you to. It's a shitty question I'm about to ask you. It's like, hey, something terrible happened. How did it make you feel? We just lost Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
We did.
And how does that make you feel?
I mean, it's awful. It's tragic. She was an amazing person. My first reaction was like, holy shit, I'm really lucky that like I got to live through a period of time with this just force. Like, I don't know if you went to see her documentary or the documentary on her, but like just her doing push-ups and stuff before like going and judging, like she's just like this force. And I think what's really important about her and about like her, just first of all, style for days. But also she was just like really like she represented justice in such an incredible way. That's really just been bastardized by so many people since, or currently. But I mean, just God, what an idol. And I think especially now during pandemic time where like anything time related is in question, I'll get ahead of myself by 10 years. And I think a lot of people are doing that. Like, what are we going to look back at 10 years from now? We're going to look back and be like, I remember during the great pandemic of 2020, but like 10 years from now, when there's like 10-year-olds that have grown up without Ruth, like, how do you describe just seeing her on TV or like, hearing her talk or like the last 2 years of your heart stopping every time you saw a headline with her name in it.
Every time she was trending, I'd start to sweat.
Yeah, same. I get that like little CNN notification or NPR notification, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and you're like, what? Oh, she's okay. You're just announcing that she's okay.
What I'm really
Until-
gonna miss is she really had a way of that I am totally incapable of disagreeing with someone and voicing that disagreement in a polite and fashionable way. And I
Yeah.
can't do that. I'll scream in your face that you're wrong. And I really am gonna miss that because we don't have enough people that can do that these days.
Yeah.
You know? Everybody
Impartial judgment. Weird.
it doesn't exist anymore.
Jeanette, what district do you live in?
I just moved to this house.
Okay. Well, I put you on the spot.
Yeah, you did.
This is the other thing. Have you ever thought about politics?
Like getting into like being a politician.
I've as long as I've known you, I've known that you have a calming and powerful presence, and you can command a respect amongst your peers, and you're really good at what you do. And I'm thinking that you're pretty good at putting your finger on the pulse of what's going on here. You have a love of this town. You moved away, you came back because of some reason. And I want to hear more. Please just keep us in the loop as to how we can help to save these venues that we love, which ultimately help to provide incomes to the people that we love. And
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm at an advantage right now because I'm not politically affiliated with anything. So I can stand on City Hall steps and accidentally drop the F-bomb a couple times in a speech, rallying people together. Maybe with some training, I can get a little less bartender and a little more politician.
We're talking new millennium politics. You could say whatever the fuck you want.
I mean, that's true.
Nobody cares.
Right?
I mean, I already I volunteer. I volunteer to be your candidate coach, and I already see like the montage, like Rocky, but it's like you at a what are those things that you stand at and talk? A podium. Number one, I know what a podium is. I'm sorry, I just said, but you like yelling and then like running up the steps and delivering papers or something.
Yeah.
It can't cost much for the rights to Eye of the Tiger. I don't think Survivor's doing much these days. We could get that as a campaign song.
We got it. We got this. Jeanette, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, anytime. And I'll keep you all updated. We're planning some really cool stuff. I think our next step is really going to focus a lot on mental health of our industry workers.
That's very important. Very, very important. Do we have a website for you or
not yet? But you'll be the first to know when we launch.
We will definitely let us know. We'll blast that information.
Share it with us. We'll share
all
it
our huge fan, our huge amount of fans.
Yeah.
See my lips pucker there, kind of
duck
face.
Thanks, Jeanette. We'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye, Jeanette.
All right, that's Jeanette. Gosh, Dwayne, what a. Let's have a little come to Jesus here on what did you learn? How did this affect you? Do you feel like a better man?
No. I still feel like a shit heel for not voting for 30 years or however many years I was eligible to vote.
I feel like the doc kind of threw you under the bus there, but you did. I
threw myself under the bus.
You did.
Totally.
You did.
And I probably did deserve it. I probably should have paid more attention to things. Maybe a whole generation of us probably should have paid more attention to things, because I feel like people in my generation were more apt to just say, fuck it, nothing I'm going to do makes a difference,
I remember a phone call that I had with a buddy of mine who he'd gone to college in Ohio. I think he went to Dayton, and I was back. I wasn't 18 yet, so I couldn't vote. There was the election with Bush and Bush and Clinton, and I would have voted for Clinton, man, but but I couldn't vote 'cause I wasn't 18 at the time. And then he called and he's like, "Yeah, man, I voted for Bush because there was another guy named Beaver on the ballot, like for a state assemblyman or something. So he just wanted to vote for Bush just because Beaver was on there." And I just remember that just sticking with me. And this is one of my best friends, my buddy Catfish, man. I love him. He's my old co-host on my old 100 Proof radio show. But I mean, I was like, dude,
Hey man, we should totally vote for Bush and Beaver.
Bush Beaver. And there was somebody else like a prick. There was like there a prick or something or something. I don't know. My point is this: it's not a freaking joke. Voting. It's important. And I keep bringing this up that the democracy that we love and enjoy, which isn't really a democracy, it's a democratic republic, and blah blah blah. But it's only as strong as the electorate. Now, if you don't know what the word electorate means, that means the people that vote.
Can you imagine? What did he say? Was it Denmark? 80% voter turnout, and they were like, "Oh, that's too low. We can't even count this."
Every government class that I've been
insane.
to, ever since I learned that Australia, it is mandatory. Like you can go to jail if you don't vote, and they have like 99% voting in Australia, right?
Yeah,
And we're like, well, why can't we do that here? And it's like, well, because we have freedom.
right.
And it's like, we are caught in this crazy, crazy feedback loop.
Are you
Freedom.
trying to say that our love of freedom is crazy? That
I'm
we have a
saying
mental
freedom isn't
problem?
free. Freedom isn't free, man. It comes with a cost. And it means that the idiots of your society or the fringes, I mean, there's
Fame
no
costs, Leroy.
look. Everybody's talking about the fringe right, the fringe left, and then so there should be some sort of middle. Do we even have a middle? And that's the homework for everybody. What is the freaking middle, man?
The middle has no voice, man. The only voices you hear are the fringes on either side. You don't hear the middle speak up. And that's the problem. We need to speak up more.
And I think it's because we're all interrupting each other, in the middle of the thought, and the thought never gets out, and I apologize for interrupting you, and I accept your apology for interrupting me.
This is why we need to be in the same room.
I love you, Dwayne.
I love you too, Jimmy.
I'm
I'm looking into your eyes right now
where's
as I say
Kyle?
this.
No, remove that.
I got him.
Kyle.
I got him.
No, did you do it?
I got him.
Jimmy, don't
Oh,
touch
yeah,
things.
there he is. No,
Yeah, you're not allowed to
stop.
touch things. Yeah, it's only
Kyle,
Dwayne.
thank you so much.
Kyle,
for
how did
making
you
it
enjoy the
happen.
show?
That was a good show, you guys. Nice job.
Thanks, man.
Besides all the interrupting. So.
So listen,
I'm sorry for my shitty internet, man.
I'm just talking about Jimmy.
Did
Dwayne,
we
you're
ever
perfect.
share the website for the doc? Do check out Doc's website. He did we share that?
And his
I
book.
didn't get the website, but I'll
his
put it on the
historical
show.
fiction.
Casa Grande. It's
I
just
couldn't find it.
http://casagrande.com.
Really?
He's got a book, The Blood Throne of Korea. I want to check that book out.
Aria.
I mean, Doc was awesome. I never got permission to just call him Doc. And I think normally doctors, especially PhDs, they don't like.
I feel weird calling anybody Doc.
But Dr. Roy Casagrande, what a pleasure having him. Jeanette, thanks Kyle for reaching out to her. I would have had to do it on Facebook Messenger. She would have been like, "Oh, that's that guy again. He's always asking for."
I thought we were dating.
I didn't think we were dating. Jeanette Gregor.
I thought you were going there with the whole
Austin.
into the fun fest on the stage.
No. That was the coolest freaking event in town, though. Fun Fest.
Yeah, I missed that.
Anybody that ever worked that
Big
knows
Frida.
how special it was. Kyle, thank you so much. Dwayne, thank you so much.
Hey, we still need to do your memes, there, buddy.
Oh
No.
no,
I mean, we could, but whatever. It's up to you. This is your
I mean,
show.
anybody still watching? Comment now if you want to see Jimmy's
Okay.
memes.
Did you make the PowerPoint?
I got you.
Okay, then let's do it. Let's do the memes. We're gonna go real freaking fast on these memes. All right, that's weird.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
weird.
Oh,
That is
They're
so weird.
hands.
It's hands for feet.
Those are
No,
hands.
No. What, okay, what's this next one?
Is that a
Just found
one
out
female
my
hand, one
son
male hand too?
has been telling people I got laid instead of laid off. So there's that. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and then like if you're a guy, like if this is a woman, then she's mad about this because like the son's been like, oh, my mom got laid. My mom got laid. If it was a dad, he's like, that's cool, totally fine with it. All right.
They
Totally got
told
laid.
her- Probably told him to say that.
I used to be in a band. I was a bass drum.
Wow.
Okay, next. Been so mad you put Spider-Man right in the asshole.
Never. Not once.
I've got this shirt for sale.
Jimmy, you
Way to
price gouging
capitalize
motherfucker.
on Cap City shutting down, you son of a bitch.
You
Yeah.
price gouging son of a bitch.
Jesus
Next.
Christ. But anybody wants it,
Next.
that money goes to
I'll give 50%
comedy.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'll tell you right now that free shipping is false fucking advertising.
Next. All right. Scrabble, man. I miss it. Okay. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Double dare you. I can't read it. Next. Dude, I saw
Ooh.
this man. This van.
Tonka van.
You want that
I
van?
mean, is everybody fantasizing about a bug out van like I am? Like,
No, I have a truck.
You can't sleep in a truck's bed, man.
Totally can.
You totally can.
All right,
Jimmy,
Totally can.
never done it before, have you?
Hootin' is a gateway drug to hollering.
That is true.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
That.
Next.
Everybody out there hooting and hollering.
Oh, dude. Kanye West tweets music contracts and video of himself urinating on a Grammy. This
Cool.
guy is on ballots in
Hey, man.
states. Okay. He is on ballots. Next.
Yeah. Moment of silence.
Notorious.
All right. California employs Cardi B's WAP to douse the wildfires.
Yeah, this is a friend request I'm getting. They're not even trying anymore. Emmanuel Adisalam.
Self-employed. What is it? Metu
Sure.
University?
I'm surprised she doesn't have her OnlyFans up there.
Next.
Yeah, right.
I
Are we gonna
cannot
do
believe
OnlyFans?
the country that thinks a zygote is a
No.
fully realized human with rights, but still hasn't decided if a black person is? Yeah,
Wow.
that's funny, man. And then the whole thing, like religion is running this whole RGB controversy that we're walking into because people are hoping that they can overturn our Roe versus Wade, right?
Yep.
And I worked at a radio station, a Christian radio station. I used to have to play the programming, and they would talk about how Jesus is not going to come back until abortion is stopped, until there's no more abortions. Jesus is waiting. He's
I
like,
got news for you.
he's like at
Jesus
the top,
ain't coming back, folks.
he's at the top of the freaking downhill skiing thing, like got the things. He's ready to go, but he's like, oh, there was another abortion. Can't go yet. Okay. Oh, okay. So that people believe that Jesus is coming back, and that he's not going to come back, and we're holding him up by having but they won't let us teach kids about sex, and we won't let us give them fucking condoms, and then they're just like baffled when babies come out of fucking vaginas. So
if Jesus does come back, 90% it's Sacha Baron Cohen.
next. I used to go see bands play live music.
Sure, Grandma. Let's get you.
I saw this. I saw this same one that said Netflix used to come in the mail.
Oh shit.
Next.
Pulse.
I like a little poop came out when I saw that one. Next. Oh, fuck.
Trump 2020. Fuck, that's a real shirt
It
too.
is a real shirt that came up in my.
I have seen it.
feed trying to get me to buy this.
I have
It's
seen
because-
it on people's bodies.
That's because millennials are considered weak for having feelings.
Yeah. Next.
Snowflake.
Is that it? No. God. That's me.
Stop growing.
When cirrhosis of the liver and crystal meth have a child and buy a hat.
Wow.
Oh man, did you see this?
Oh my
This
god,
idiot.
yes.
James White, representative of Texas, state representative. Message from Texas. As Texas
This
goes,
motherfucker
the
did not
US
remember
goes-
the Alamo, did he?
goes the entire world. He says the West was won at the Alamo and the defeat of COVID must begin in Texas. So, I mean, the worst is now I've got to say, mother effer, don't you remember we didn't win at the Alamo? Like, I
Jimmy,
have.
it's the internet. You can say motherfucker.
Yeah, we're on Twitch now.
Oh, yeah.
So
Are you
you
watching?
can say motherfucker. You have to actually. It's
Oh,
required.
is that where timeshare salesman came from? on
That's where
Twitch?
timeshare salesman
Yeah.
came from, was
That was
Twitch.
for sure.
Oh man,
Random. We haven't advertised Twitch. That was just somebody came upon it. That was
is
awesome.
What is it? The other one is no more bullshit. What is that?
From the Trump shirt.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
No more bullshit.
This is me, dude, with Murder Dog. When I've had someone talk and they say, "Wow, he doesn't let anyone do that." Oh man, I've controlled this dog with my human brain thoughts.
It's me and my friend's cats, like the cat whisperer.
I got cats waiting for me. I heard one knocking on my little Velcro magnetic door.
They don't
Thing.
have knuckles, Jimmy.
Nah, whatever.
Every time I see
Next.
anything with a grizzly in it, I immediately think of that Grizzly Man show. I need to go back and watch. That's one of the funniest documentaries of all time.
What?
Hell yeah.
Grizzly Man, where that Timothy Treadwell dude got eaten by a bear.
That's too much. Oh, wait. No, this is important, I think.
Research has shown that less than 5% of a population engaged in resistance is often enough to cause huge shifts in the zeitgeist and make it much harder for illegitimate authority to rule.
So there's the cure for totalitarian state. And just remember that. You heard it here first, folks, but from the New Yorker.
I think the only way 45 supporters will abandon him at this point is if he turns into a black man.
Yeah, but you know what? I bet if he's, that might not work. I mean, if he was at,
Nope.
like, I was watching his rally in North Carolina tonight. If he was to be like, I could go out there on Fifth Avenue and just turn into a black man and you guys would support me, they'd be like,
12
I
more
mean,
years.
I don't
12
know.
more years.
Yeah. Next.
Yeah, has anyone tried making edibles without weed, like virgin edibles or something?
You mean food, dummy? Fuck face.
He was probably high when he wrote
When
that.
he wrote that. Next.
Yeah,
He's like,
on
"I'm
an
so
edible.
taste of Wen King. Next.
Oh, wanking.
I'd rather get COVID-19 than Biden 20. That's
Okay.
that was on my feed from We Love President Donald Trump. Next.
MAGA.
Oh, next.
Oh, come on. Kyle.
I know. I
Kyle,
should
you-
just
Kyle,
take this
you're
stuff
supposed
out.
to be here to fucking
This is-
edit
this
this
is your-
kind of shit.
He posts the pictures in the folder
Talk like a pirate.
2 minutes before the show.
Text.
2 minutes.
What an asshole. And he does it on purpose so he can
That's-
slide shit like that in.
We're going
Right?
20 minutes over. Is that it?
That's it.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching. If you stuck around for the whole thing, sorry we went late, but man, great job, guys.
Yeah.
Good show.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the listeners.
Are we just? Oh, yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thanks,
Good job.
Thanks for
on
listening. Yes,
Sticking
you
with
stuck
Jimmy.
us. Thanks so much. We'll be back next week. Dwayne, big positive vibes to your family over in Louisiana.
Yeah, I may be heading out on a trip here in the next day or so.
So our thoughts are with you and your mama and everybody over there.
Thanks.
Kyle, why do we need to pray for you?
Oh, no. I'm good.
You're good? Okay.
Yeah.
You did a great job, and thanks for putting up with me as always. And for Dwayne Primo, for Kyle Bauer, and big thanks to Brian Nelson also with our new intro. We forgot to mention it last week with the typewriter. We've got a video taking you out. I think it's one of my old music videos. We love you so much. Oh my goodness! I'll keep.
Oh, he doesn't have it queued up.
We don't have a video. We're good.
We
Somebody
don't have
was
a
watching.
video.
No, because it's just the same
Matthew
thing.
Michael Warren.
Not doing the
Matthew
same thing
Michael Warren was
over
watching.
again.
Have we already played that
Had
one? It's
fun.
such
Yeah.
a fun show. It's such a fun video. It's
Okay.
Which video is it?
It's
We're
the
over.
one. It's like my punk rock song from my old TV show.
All right, fine. I'll
we
play
gonna
it.
run out of these
so good.
videos.
Are you talking about Wild Bill and the Lost Knobs?
No, I'm talking about the "It's My Roommate" song from my old
Yeah.
old TV
not
show.
that one.
And we paid a lot of
I
money
know.
for that freaking dollhouse to just destroy it with Worcestershire sauce and red pepper flakes. And
Say that again.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
So tune in. Make sure you're following us on the Twitch. Follow us on the YouTube. We need more subscribers on the YouTube in order for me to name the stupid channel. So if you're listening to us on Facebook, please just go to the YouTube. Just look up The Least We Can Do. If you got a topic that you'd like to talk about, next week we're going to hopefully have our friend Diane Hendricks. She's going to interpret for us. We have a hearing impaired individual that is listening to. Well, he's not listening to the show, but he's been paying attention to the show, and he's a lip reader. And so we're going to talk to him through the magic of television about dolphins.
Yeah.
He's a big fan. Thank you, Matthew Michael Warren. Sounds like a made up name, Matthew Michael Warren.
Three
but
first names.
if it's not a made up name, I bet he probably has sung some Christian rock in his life. Matthew, I thank you for tuning in. I hope you did have
It's in
fun.
a Striper cover band.
Sorry for just meeting you and making fun of your name right off the bat.
Jars of Clay.
My name is Jimmy Preston, Dwayne Primo, Kyle Bauer, and this is one of my favorite freaking songs. Yeah, you ready?
What did I do? Ah!
Where's it playing?
Oh, what's up?
It's on the screen.
Yeah,
You
what's
ready?
up? Yeah. Was
Okay.
it playing? I apologize.
Yeah, it's all right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you guys next. Thank you, everyone. Amber, thank you. Austin, Brian, Andrea, Matthew, sister.
Cool. Go ahead and name everybody.
Do that now while
Love you.
nobody's watching.
Goodbye.
All the newspaper on the staircase, that's not trash. That is my roommate. All the cat piss on my clothes comes with me wherever I may go. City wants my house condemned, but these bags of trash are my only friends. I can't throw these things away. All these things are my roommates. I can't throw these things away. All these things are my roommates. Pizza boxes, use up lighters, rotten floorboards from all the adult diapers. You ask me how I sleep at night, I say it's quite easy. I sleep standing up where the mice and rats can't eat me. I can't throw these things away. All these things are my roommates. I can't throw these things away. All these things are my roommates. One day you will find me crushed beneath it all. I beg of you, just leave me here in my trash Taj Mahal. I can't throw